Coming up on Newswatch in Focus, the heat and drought conditions continue, and the grounds at Eastern Illinois University are beginning to show it. Tonight we'll talk to an EIU groundskeeper about what they're doing to combat dry conditions on campus. And we'll take a look at what made local headlines this week on Newswatch. All that and more is coming up, so stay tuned. Newswatch in Focus starts right now. Welcome and thanks for joining us for Newswatch in Focus. I'm your host, Kate Pleasant. Newswatch in Focus takes an in-depth look at the latest news stories from the greater Mattoon and Charleston area, as well as those surrounding it each week. Our topic this week is drought conditions and how they're adding stress to the groundskeepers at Eastern Illinois University in Charleston. We'll talk more about that with our in-studio guest in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at what made headlines this week on WEIU Newswatch. A 23-year-old Mattoon woman was cited by police after her pet snake got loose and bit a 1-year-old neighbor. Shelby Guyette was ticketed for allowing an animal to run at large. Police say the incident happened July 2nd at a home on the 300 block of North 22nd Street. They say Guyette did not have a secure terrarium. The infant was treated and released from the hospital, and Guyette will appear in court September 17th. And if you're planning to travel Route 121, you might want to think of an alternative route. Illinois Department of Transportation Field Engineer Dick Murray says starting on Monday, a section of Route 121 west of Toledo will be temporarily closed for construction. The road will be closed about a half-mile east of County Road 900 East and north of County Road 700 North. IDOT says this construction phase may be completed in about 30 days. And in courts, a former Eastern Illinois University police officer pleaded guilty to fraud this week. 53-year-old Brian Shull of Effingham was charged with a misdemeanor for civil service examination fraud after he allegedly obtained answers to an Illinois civil service examination he was taking for a promotion. Shull will have to pay a fine of $250 plus court costs and restitution of more than $4,800 to the department that handles the examination. Shull resigned after the investigation started in 2009. He returns to court January 1st for a status hearing. And also in Charleston, a former city planner is charged with embezzling from a nonprofit organization. According to an indictment filed in federal court, Jeffrey Finley allegedly opened and maintained a checking account in the nonprofit Code Enforcement Officials of Southern Illinois, or CEO's, name. Finley was the organization's treasurer, and the indictment alleges that between 2004 and 2007, he wrote more than 30 checks payable to himself for as much as $500. He also used more than $22,000 from CEO for his personal matters. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in prison. And the drought is affecting everyone, and the latest is pumpkin farmers. Pumpkins are already in the ground, but it's the current drought that's causing farmers to panic about whether the numbers will meet the demand. Newswatch's Allison Twaits has the story.
Now, this farm hasn't seen any pumpkins yet, but what we do see are fields and fields of flower blossoms that will eventually produce pumpkins. It's that time between now and then that growers are concerned about.
I've never experienced these conditions that we've had the last couple weeks. Pumpkins are pretty tough, and they'd really prefer it hot and dry as opposed to cold and wet. Worried about continued heat and continued dryness, because even a pumpkin at some point will say, I can't do it in these conditions.
Condell grows 400 varieties of pumpkins with over 500,000 flower blossoms.
Here, here, here.
That need to be pollinated. And they only bloom once. So you can expect Condell has a lot to worry about.
Bee activity when it's so hot is diminished. Sometimes that flower, even if it gets pollinated, will abort because of the heat. That's one reason why we grow 63 acres and 400 varieties, because hopefully not every variety is going to be affected by the heat and the drought.
Because without pumpkins,
I come out here and it's our whole livelihood. If we don't have pumpkins, we can't have the great pumpkin patch.
By this time next week, farmers expect the vines to cover the ground completely. I won't even be able to walk through the rows. It's that time that farmers may have a better idea as to how many pumpkins they can expect for the season. But right now, it's just a waiting game. In Arthur, I'm Allison Twaits.
Another recent victim of the heat has been water lines. The extreme weather could be the culprit for 6 major water lines breaking in Crawford County. Officials say there isn't a lack of water, it's the process of getting all that water to the residents that's causing problems. Each break will require repairs, and as mechanics fix these lines, the concentration inside the pipes stir up loose particles, which can result in contaminated water. Also, in the wake of the drought, the USDA Farm Service Agency is reminding producers to report crop losses resulting from a weather-related disaster event. This includes crops with or without insurance coverage. The FSA Executive Director Chrissy Brown says crop losses need to be reported within 15 days of the disaster or when the loss first becomes apparent. She says it's important that producers file a report before the crop is destroyed to prevent the potential loss of FSA program benefits. Governor Pat Quinn has announced the start of a summer cooling program which will help some Illinoisans pay their utility bills. Low-income households that meet the state guidelines will be able to apply for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program for help. Applications will be accepted now through July 27th or until funds are exhausted. More information about this program is on our website at weiu.net. And with all of this heat, a good reminder is not to leave your medications in hot places. This can cause a variety of unwanted effects. The Newswatch team has more on that story.
39,000 patients are admitted each year at Sarah Bush Lincoln Health Center. Officials say some of these emergencies could have resulted from improper storage of prescription drugs. See, these prescriptions need to be stored at temperatures ranging from 68 to 77 degrees. And with these scorching temperatures, this can cause a chemical breakdown of your dosage.
Is that it?
Situation last year that happened in New York, there was a lady who actually wore it into the bathtub, and it caused the extreme heat and the moisture increased the absorption of the medication, and the patient actually got a larger dose than she should have, and she actually stopped breathing and died.
Director of Pharmacy for Sarah Bush Lincoln Health Center, Mike Craig, says the narcotic patch prescribed to cancer patients, like the woman from his story, is just one of many drugs that is affected by the heat.
The insulin is something that, for a couple reasons, it's very sensitive. It's a protein-based drug. So if you think of a protein-based drug, you can think of an egg, essentially, and you think of how the egg breaks down with heat and it changes form. Well, that's what happens with a protein-based drug, and it actually can become totally ineffective or just less effective.
Yeah, you would want to buy one of the gel-type ice packs and put your medication in a bag with that to maintain the appropriate temperature.
Registered nurse Allie Klee says medications like insulin need to stay cold. If you're away from refrigeration, having a gel ice pack will allow the drug to stay cold and not break the glass bottles. Moving from the cold to the heat also isn't good for some drugs.
Birth control pills were to break down due to the heat, it would be a decrease in potency, and the issue with the decrease in potency would be a treatment failure, and in the case of birth control pills, that would be pregnancy, potential pregnancy.
Officials say missing dosages is a big no-no, along with leaving your medicine in a hot car, airplane, or anywhere that is exposed to excessive heat.
If you're packing a suitcase, we always recommend that you keep your medicines in your carry-on so they're not put in the hot area.
And where do you usually store it when you travel?
Suitcase.
For more information on tips to keep your medication safe, visit our website at weiu.net.
And finally, the drought is starting to show at Eastern Illinois University, and that has groundskeepers stressed. We'll talk to Justin Perry, EIU's ground superintendent, next, but first, here's more on that topic from the Newswatch team.
Listen, I'm here at the intramural fields behind O'Brien Stadium, where groundskeepers have been working tirelessly to keep these fields watered and ready to go for activities like summer sports camps. Workers are frustrated with how these drought-like conditions have been killing off plants and grass and describe their job as never-ending.
Trees are turning yellow, falling off the bigger trees, and just try to get to water everything you can, but we don't have the time or the manpower to water every tree on campus. We got tons of trees.
Mark Weaver is a groundskeeper at Eastern Illinois University. He's responsible for the upkeep of 160 acres of practice fields.
There's a lot of stuff to water in that amount of ground, and a lot of driving back and forth time just trying to get from station to station to get stuff done. Seems like you're running around in circles.
But trying to beat the heat and save whatever plant life they can.
He just turned the water on up there.
Is part of the daily work schedule for all EIU groundskeepers.
You know, we do it over and over. We're watering the same plants over and over, but we're watering a lot of stuff this year that we don't normally water. I mean, a lot of this stuff normally takes care of itself.
With only 13 workers on call, Perry is expected not only to care for practice fields and flower beds, but around 4,200 trees on campus. Groundskeepers are worried about saving trees that have been on campus for years and say the first plants to go are usually the flower beds. According to Perry, there may be no hope for plants that are already dying.
The areas now that are brown and dormant may not come back because it's been too long without rainfall.
Perry and his employees are concerned about having playing fields and flower beds in top shape for this fall. With new student orientation starting today, Perry hopes that incoming students and their families understand that he and his crew are doing all they can to keep sports fields and flower beds from dying in this dry situation.
Thanks, Anna. Now, Perry tells Newswatch he and his crew have recently planted more than 10,000 square feet of flower beds all over campus. But he also says they aren't doing too well because they require a lot of water. He says he worries that they may not survive until the fall semester.
Wonder where we get our story inspirations from? Make sure to tune in to Newswatch every weeknight at 5:30 right here on WEIU to find out. Newswatch in Focus takes a local story from the week that was featured on Newswatch and goes more in depth. For more local news, weather, and sports, tune in to Newswatch every weeknight at 5:30. We're back now with Justin Perry, the EIU Ground Superintendent. Thanks for joining me today, Justin. I appreciate that. So first, can you paint us a picture of what the grounds are like at Eastern right now?
Well, I think anybody that's been out there can see we're extremely dry. The turf's gone dormant, pretty much brown everywhere you look. We're just trying to maintain what we have and hope for some rain. Okay, so plants are drying out, right? Not just the grass, some of the plants are drying out. So what does that mean for your crew? Well, right now, normally we would be mowing, but I have almost everybody on staff out watering bushes. Stuff that's been there for years is showing signs of drought. It's dry. The turf's gone dormant. Bushes and trees start to show wilt. Their leaves start to dry up and wilt over, and that when you see that, you need to get some water to it pretty quick. So we're pretty much just trying to limp stuff along until we can get a rain. Okay. And when you're out watering, where's the water coming from? When we're watering around the building, there's spigots on the side of the building. It's city water, so we're pulling off of each building. There's spigots, and we just work our way around the building, going plant to plant. We have soaker hoses out, so that kind of helps with wasting water. You don't waste very much with the soaker hose. Right. Out on the athletic fields, we pull out of the campus pond, and that's fed by a well. So that's just and runoff from last year, I guess. I was going to say from whatever rain the last time we have rain is what fills that pond. So the athletic fields are getting watered off of that, and we have been pulling off of that too to fill. We have a 500-gallon water tank that we put in the back of a truck, and we've been pulling out of the pond for that to water some trees as well. So how's the pond looking? Oh, it's actually up to normal pool level. Really? Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised that deep well pump can keep up, but it's you go out there now and you can't tell it's down at all. Really? Because you know a lot of golf courses and things right now, you go out and you see their ponds because they've been watering. You know, their ponds have maybe a couple feet of water left, and they're getting really low. They're probably gonna have to stop watering soon. So I just wondered, how the campus pond might. No, it's holding up. Golf courses use a lot more water than we do. We have like 12 acres we're irrigating out of that, where they have probably 70. Right, and you're also probably not watering grass at this point. Just on the athletic fields, the 4 main fields and then 2 practice soccer fields are what we're trying to keep going. Okay, and so is there a specific plan when it comes to drought? I mean, did you guys have to get together and say, here's what we're going to do? Well, no, we're just, I think everybody knew what we're going to have to do. It's just basically try to keep stuff alive. So yeah, we work. We have different crews and we work through the campus. We try to start when we're watering trees, start up at the north end of campus and strategically work our way down through doing trees like that. And then I have a couple guys in different sections of campus, and we just work around each building. Okay. Trying to get stuff watered. How many guys are on your crew? I mean, we have 18. 18. Okay. Yeah. And so the majority of them are watering. Okay, so that's what they're doing. But we're still doing other projects and stuff like that as we need. But guys that normally mow, we usually have 5 guys mowing, and there's nothing for them to mow, so they're the ones doing the watering too. Okay. And so what kind of other projects are going on right now? What can you do in a drought, I guess I'd say, from a ground standpoint? Well, we're doing, right now we have a couple guys down at Lawson and Andrews working on a foundation leak, stuff that has showed up in the past, and now's the time we can work on it when it's dry, have an open hole, that way it's not raining in it. We can get some stuff down there. The roofers are working to fix that, but we do the digging for them. So stuff like that, sidewalk work we're doing, just different types of that. We don't have a whole lot of that going on right now, but we are.
Water.
Yeah, a lot, mostly water.
Okay, and so what has this done for you as far as projects go? I mean, are you behind? Are there things you were going to be planting?
Yeah, I was. We've been working on a plan revitalizing different areas around buildings, stuff that's overgrown, that's been there for years and years. We've been pulling out and putting in new plants and new designs. I had some stuff for the South Quad plan for this summer, and I didn't order the plants because we got into this drought, and we're just trying to keep the stuff alive. We did a lot of planting this spring, and we're just trying to keep that stuff going, and I don't want to overload us and start losing plants. So I hope the rain starts here soon and we can get back to that. Otherwise, we may have to wait till later on in the fall.
Okay. And so as far as the outlook goes, do you think this is going to affect fall, spring, anything like that from this drought?
Yeah, I think for sure the trees will show more of
like the
problems.
stress.
The stress will come out next spring, I think, the larger trees. It's just hard to say, you know. I haven't been through this bad of a drought before.
So you haven't seen it this bad?
No. I mean, I've been here for 7 years, and I haven't seen it that bad here, and my other jobs hasn't been this dry. It started a lot earlier than normal. About now, this time of year, you're expected to start to dry up a little bit for a month or two, and it just started way early, and we're getting behind.
Yeah, the word is that we're 7 inches behind on rain for this year, so I mean, that's obviously huge, and you can't really catch up. Even if it rains several inches, that doesn't help anything.
Right, it takes a long time to get that back.
Right. So you were talking about, you know, campus design and planting and things like that. Just, you know, since I have you here, what is the philosophy on that? Like, what kinds of philosophy do you have when you go to plant things, change things out, design things for a campus? What does that look like? I
just go around, and the buildings that have been here and the plants that are older, you can tell that there are a lot of junipers, a lot of yews, a lot of burning bushes, and I just try to, and to me, some of that's dull. It's long rows of yews, and we're just trying to work our way through. We pick the worst area at the time, pull it out, get a new design, put in some new plants, stuff, more color, more different textures, that type of stuff.
Okay, because obviously, you know, people come here, and they want a beautiful campus, so a lot of that goes on you guys.
Right.
To make it beautiful. So, and I assume there's like landscaping trends and things like that, right? So some of that old stuff that they put in when it was nice looking then, and now you're having to pull it out.
Right, and there's new plants that come about all the time, so we're just trying to keep up on that and put new stuff and just keep people interested in plants, and as they're walking down, they don't see the same thing at each building.
Right.
So.
What do you find people are most interested around here when they're walking around?
Oh, I don't know. They like everything. Yeah, I don't hear anything specific, but.
Yeah, obviously, you know, there's lots of different trees and plants and things like that, and so there's plenty to look at on campus. Is there any philosophy to how it looks going through campus? Is there something that you have to think about that way?
Not necessarily. We just do what we feel. I mean, I have a staff that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience in that too, so we gather information and kind of talk about it and go from there.
Yeah, because, you know, like by the library, that's one of my favorite places where they had the grasses that come down kind of like a waterfall.
Right.
You know? So obviously that was something that someone had to creatively think how to utilize that space.
Right,
so.
and we try to do that when we can.
Yeah, so I think that's very interesting. But anyway, getting back to this drought, what's a normal day like on campus? You know, when does it start, when does it end, and what do you do?
Now, or what a normal
day looks like. We'll talk about the drought after that.
We work summer hours, so that's 6:30 to 3. Normally this time of year we have 4 guys mowing on campus. We have a guy mowing athletic fields. Then we have the campus broken into 5 different areas, and there's a person assigned to that area to do the weed eating, the hoeing of the flower beds, hoeing of the shrub beds, spraying herbicide if we need to. Picking up litter. So in the summer, the litter's not as bad because the students are gone.
Right.
There's not a lot of traffic on campus. So normally we're spraying, or we're mowing, spraying, hoeing, picking up litter.
Okay.
This year is not normal. and we're just basically watering right now.
And so yeah, what's a typical day look like now? I mean, when these guys get out at 6:30.
Right. We out on the athletic fields. We have to move on the main soccer field and the practice soccer field. We have to move the irrigation pipes manually.
Okay.
So there's a crew of 5 that does that all day long.
All day long.
Yeah. I mean, they move it and they come back an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever we want to get the water on for that day, or whatever events are scheduled on that field. We have to work around that as well. So they're working in their areas and going back and forth, spending time traveling to move water. The guys that are mowing, they're out now watering basically all day long.
Okay. And have the guys said anything about the reactions they're having with all this stuff? Is there any specific complications they've had to overcome?
No, I just tell them to keep themselves hydrated.
Right.
I mean, that's a big problem now because we're outside all day and then in the sun doing that. I think everybody's getting burnt out of watering, burnt out of the heat, burnt out of the dry.
Yeah, they want to
it's
go
just
back.
taking its toll on everybody a little bit, kind of stressing everybody out.
I'm sure they'd rather go back to their normal stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, all this dryness,
Right.
it doesn't look nice. It's hard to keep up with, and you know, I know they're probably out pulling out a lot of just dry, dead things. Really.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Look, I think we're all looking forward to a little rain.
Oh,
going
absolutely.
back to that. So, I also want to talk about the bur oak tree over by Old Main. That big, beautiful tree. A lot of people are familiar with it. It's over by Old Main, between Old Main and Blair Hall, kind of.
Right.
Can you tell us about it first, the situation with it? Because I know I've been hearing that it's maybe having some stress or...
Yeah, it's been stressed for a couple of years. A few years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I believe, it was struck by lightning. And that's what this is finally showing up. So yes, it's the east half of it's dead.
So does it take that long sometimes, 7 or 8 years for stress to show?
Yeah, we've been putting nutrients, fertilizer to it, and it's helped mask that for this long. And last year, it kind of, the drought we had a drought last year, and that pretty much got it going on the course it's going now. Right. So it's just finally showing its signs of that lightning strike.
Okay.
This week, we're going to be trimming it back, cutting back the dead that's on the east side for safety reasons. That way we don't start losing limbs or getting anybody hurt.
Right.
And then we got to trim some on the live side to kind of balance it out. So
when you trim, what does that do to the tree?
It doesn't hurt it at all. It's just we're doing it. Sometimes you do it for cosmetic or for aesthetics. You got a branch or something that's hanging down the sidewalk, something like that. But we're doing it for safety reasons now. So.
Okay. And will that help the tree in any way? I mean, when you trim the dead off?
No, it's just mainly for safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what's the plan for the tree? Does it have an overall, what's next for it?
Well, as far as I know, for the next piece of the puzzle here is biological sciences is going to work with trying to clone it.
Okay.
So they're going to be working. I think they're going to have some students working on that this fall and again in the spring. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Cloning the tree. So then would they put this clone of this tree in somewhere else on campus? Maybe?
That's yet to be seen.
Okay. So there's no specific plan there, but that's very interesting.
We collected 50 acorns last year and started those back in our nursery.
Okay.
And we have 30 or 31 of them growing.
Okay, so that's something that could potentially be planted.
Yes, and we're going to try to do that again this year, as long as it bears some acorns.
Okay, well, yeah, if it has enough energy to produce those, I guess.
And we are trying to water it too, water that tree as well to keep it going.
Okay, so what's the plan now for your department in this drought? What do you guys do next?
Hope for some rain.
Do a rain dance maybe?
Yeah, something. Anybody that can do one. No, we're just going to continue on as we're doing, watering until we come out of this. Trying to limp the plants along until they can get some moisture, and I know the students will be coming back, and we're going to have to work around them because a lot of the turf is probably going to not come back.
Right.
The turf can go dormant for quite a bit of time, but it's got to have a little bit of moisture at some point on the crown to keep it hydrated. Sure. And I think we're to that point where we're going to start losing a lot of turf, so we'll be slit seeding and aerating and getting a bunch of. You'll be seeing a lot of the tractors out there aerating and getting the seed back in the ground. That's going to be a major thing this fall now that we probably wouldn't have had to do had it been a normal year.
Right, okay. And so is there anything that people that are using campus or going on campus during the summer need to know about, how they can help you in general?
I mean, we have construction crews all over campus, but the main thing would be to just stay off the grass as much as possible.
Okay.
When it's this dry and brittle, and it's stressing, you walk across it and you can see footprints on a hot day.
Kind of like snow.
Right. So
stay off the grass.
Yeah, as much as you can.
Is there anything else you think people need to know?
No, I think just bear in mind that we're in a drought and stuff doesn't look as good as it normally does.
Give us a break, right?
But we're trying. We're trying to keep it going. So.
Okay. Well, Justin Perry from EIU Grounds, we really appreciate you coming in today, and we appreciate you bringing this drought situation here at Eastern into focus for us. That's all the time we have for today. We hope that you'll stay tuned next for the Four Rivers Ag Report with Fred Peralta. I'm Kate Pleasant. Thanks for watching tonight, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Newswatch in Focus. Did you know full episodes of our show are available on YouTube? Go to www.youtube.com/WEIUTV and click on the Newswatch in Focus playlist. Each week we'll put a new episode of Newswatch in Focus online. For more information and news, visit our website at weiu.net 24 hours a day. Thanks for tuning in to Newswatch in Focus. Is there a news story happening in your community? Let us know about it. You can email our newsroom at news@weiu.net. Call us at 581-2911 or write to us at 600 Lincoln Avenue, Charleston, Illinois 61920. Your story could be featured on Newswatch or right here on this show, Newswatch in Focus. For more news all the time, visit our website at weiu.net. Thanks for watching.